welcome to my Flosstube channel, Thread the Needle. My name is Ivani and I'm from Newfoundland, Canada. Happy New Year! It's my first video in the new year 2022 and I am so excited to be here and filming this for you today. It took me a little while to kind of get back into the groove of things with the new year and after the holidays and everything, but I'm here now. I am a day late on posting my video as I normally would, but I hope you'll forgive me. Now, I wanted to start by saying that I had a wonderful 2021 of stitching. It was a lovely year with regards to stitching. I got a lot of work done, and this is my first official normal Flosstube video, shall we say. I already did the whip parade and everything, so I'm excited to move on to my regular videos with my Flosstube. So let's jump right in. I made a few changes to my whip rotation this year with regards to my focus pieces and the projects that I wanted to see work on, what ones I wanted to work on, what are kind of doing well. So I thought I would just jump right in and go with that. I decided that I liked the way that last year, towards the end of the year, I had just listed all of my whips. So I no longer had any UFOs, which are unfinished objects. So those are projects that you kind of started and for one reason or another, you stopped working on and put them aside. So they become a UFO. I had a few of those, so I decided instead of leaving them in the unfinished pile, why not throw them in the whip pile and make this into a big rotation. So I have something like, I think I counted it last time, I have quite a few projects in my whip parade. Projects that already don't serve a purpose, like it's not my focus piece or it's not a mini focus piece, or I don't have plans to do something else with it. Those were what were in my whip pile. And instead of just going through the whip list one at a time, because after I do get through it, I think there's something like, I don't know, 18 to 20 projects on it, or it could be less because some of them are ones that I work on all the time. But instead of knowing which project is coming every time in the rotation, I wanted a little bit more mystery to it. So previously I have used a whip wheel where it chooses for me. So you press a button on the app and it chooses which project to for me to stitch on. And that worked fine for a while, but I noticed that sometimes it just kept picking the same few projects, and I wanted an app. And I heard somewhere someone commented that there is an app that once a project gets selected, it gets thrown out of the wheel so it doesn't get selected again. I haven't found that, so I decided to go old school, and I put all my projects in this little baggie. They're all written up, folded, and I have no idea what's in it. So these are my unstitched, and then I pick them, and then I put them in the back of my notebook in the stitched bag. So then, once they're all done, I will go back and fold these papers again and go through another random pick of projects. I think it's super fun because sometimes I like the mystery of it, and I like not having to choose, because that's part of my problem. I can't choose between the projects that are there to work on. Some I really want to work on, I'm really drawn to, and then others, there's reasons sometimes that some of them are in the UFO pile because I just for some reason can't bring myself to do it. So having this method of picking a name from the bag, it allows me to not have that decision on my head, and it's like, okay, whatever it is, I gotta stitch it. So then I decided, once a project is picked, however many days it takes me to get to around 400 stitches, that is the plan. And so far I've been kind of sticking to it. I've kind of been more averaging between 300 and 400, and I'm fine with that. I love it. I love it. I love stitching. So let's go right into it. I'm going to start with my focus piece. My focus piece for this year and a few years to come is my silver piece that I named silver because I want to make it for my husband for our 25th anniversary. It is a portrait of himself and myself when we were very young. So I think it's been a while since I showed you all, but here is how much I've got done so far. This is the top of my head. His is right here, so let's see if I can undo it. It's actually coming along very well. I've tasked myself, in order to get to the goal of stitching that I want, I've tasked myself to get a certain number of stitches on this. I don't even remember. I think it's, gosh, a lofty goal of at least 200 stitches. I think it averages out to 1,400 stitches a week. And so if I don't get to stitch a little bit on it every day, then by the end of the week, because weekends are always a little bit more flexible, right? So then I make sure that I catch up on those numbers, and it seems to be working for now. So this is how much I've got done. So you can see the tops of our heads. I think it's like really cool. I don't know how it's going to turn out when I start stitching on our face. That's going to kind of be super weird, but I think the good part about it is that it's such a small count and I'm stitching so up close. It's not until I actually step away that I realize what I'm stitching on. But I do think I am going to stitch this side of the project first. So I'll finish me, go down this way, and so then I don't have to stitch on myself and I can just concentrate on stitching on him. I'm hoping as the months and years go by, because this section right here, his shirt, is a lot of white, and I've picked a nice pearl white cotton-ish color, so I'm hoping those will go quickly. So even if I have to do like 200 stitches a night, it's just one color. I barely have to look at the pattern and I just have to stitch 200 stitches a night. So I'm super happy. I think maybe I'll show this once a month just so you can see how far I'm getting into it, and it'll keep me motivated to keep going because I really want to finish this. And I say 25th anniversary, which we will be celebrating in the year 2025. It seems like such a long, far off time, but with the amount of stitching that has to get done on this, I have to keep going. I have to keep going, and I want to keep going. So my goal is to get it done by the end of 2024 or the beginning of 2025 so that I have time to frame it nicely and have it ready for our anniversary in March. Okay, so that's that one. Next up is, the next mini focus. I had two mini focus projects, which was Ganesh and Siamese fighting fish, because those were two large projects that require a little bit more attention than the regular whips in my rotation. So what I decided to do was do a daily 100 with them, but switch it. So one week I would do Ganesh for a daily 100, next week I would do Siamese, and so on and so forth. So far I've only worked on Ganesh, and I will be posting a before picture, but I got the required number of stitches that I needed. So let me fold all the fabric out of the way. I almost got a diagonal finished. So here's how much I've got done, and you should be able to see the difference. So it's really nice to see all this detail right here come up. It's so much fun to stitch on these dark pink colors. I can't say enough how much I enjoy this piece. Every time I pick it up, I really, really love it. So I'm looking forward to getting that back in rotation. But at the moment, Siamese fighting fish is my daily 100 for this week. So next video, you'll see progress that I've made on that. Next up is the whips. So prior to the new year, since the end of my Vlogmas and then when I started my New Year's rotation, there was a few days in between, and I was like, what should I stitch on? And I was like, I'm still in Christmas holiday mode, so I decided to put in a few extra stitches on my Christmas piece, which normally I would stitch on just the 24th and 25th of every month, but I was able to put in a few more stitches before the New Year stitch rotation started, and here's what I have. I'm stitching this Christmas piece, not this particular piece, but a Christmas piece along with Leanne. And you can check out what she's doing. She's doing Christmas stocking. So it's really hard to see the color, you guys, because it's just a pale pink. But here's, you know what, let's see if I can, there we go. So it's a really pale pink, and the cool part about this project is, so I think if you see the before picture, I had maybe this much done, so I got quite a bit done. The cool part about this one is I am stitching it in extreme cross country, so there's not a lot of changing the colors and trying to figure out what to stitch next. It's the exact same symbol. I just have to make my way through the whole project, finish this color before I move on to the next one. And I'm sticking to it. We'll see, it's only 2 days a month, but I'm enjoying it still very much. It's gonna be a slow project, but you know, it is what it is. It's just a Christmas stitch. Now, let's move on to the rest of my whip parade. Not whip parade, sorry guys. The next updates on all of my whips that I've got done in the last couple of weeks or so. So another thing that happened with the new year is that I joined and started the Cross Stitch Studios new mystery cell for 2022, and the theme is Under the Sea. I am stitching it on 22 count, 2/1, and it's lovely, just lovely. So this is the fabric color I chose. Now, I know when you look at it in the video, it all looks like it's just blurring together, but I think it's gonna look lovely. So this is what I've got done so far. There is no before picture because it was just a blank canvas. And so there's smaller pages. This is the bottom of the page. This is the end of the page on the side. So I've got about half of the page, or maybe a little bit more than half the page done. So I'm looking forward to putting a few more stitches on that and getting that one done. I think the next page is coming out soon. I want to say on the 15th. I think it's 2 pages a month, but 2 mini pages a month. So I don't think I'll be able to keep on top of it, but I still very much look forward to, oh look, my hair is doing something weird. I still very much look forward to working on this one. It has been a lot of fun. Another project that I worked on that came about in my mystery pick for my rotation was Mini Dragon Charmer. And this one took a few days to get some work on, because what happened was, this is the first time that I was working on it in Pattern Keeper. So luckily I only had about half a page put in it before it became a UFO, but what I did have to do was have to kind of correlate what was done on the paper chart when I was working on it way back when, and put that into Pattern Keeper. So that took a night. And I literally had to go line by line, square by square, and compare what was stitched and mark it off in Pattern Keeper before I could actually start stitching on it. So then I did, and then we got some work done on it, and I'm super happy. So I'm looking forward to get this one back in the rotation, but not till I get through all my projects in the little bag. Now, and then next up in my rotation was World Travel Bookshelf. Of course, a favorite of mine, and I think of many of yours. For those of you who don't know, who are not familiar with me, I decided to do the bookshelves separately. So I'm doing, this is shelf number 1. I will frame them separately, and who knows if I'll get it done in this lifetime, but that is the plan. I should have folded this before I started the video, but there you have it. Now, so this is how much I got done. A lot of this was kind of recovering the stitching area from a previously worked challenge through the Vlogmas. So here is what I did there. So I was catching up there. So I decided to continue stitching in this area. Oh my gosh, this is so hard to hold. Let's open that up a bit. Okay. So I decided to continue stitching in this area, and then this is the end of the page line right there, and before it goes on more, obviously. So I decided to just continue from there in diagonals, and then as I hit places here that are not stitched, I'll just continue with those diagonals there. So that's how much I've got done on that one. Always a fun stitch. Just so much detail, and the colors are just vibrant. I love it. Then on my Q-Snap at the moment, the project that I'm working on yesterday and tonight is Golden Promises, and it's becoming one of my favorite pieces to work on. So I'm not sure if you'll be able to tell the difference in what has been stitched, but the before picture that I'm going to show you does not actually have this part in it, because the reason is at the moment I'm working on this section, so I wanted to be able to show you the difference of what's being stitched now as opposed to in the same area what I had already stitched. So this is very confetti heavy, so I am just taking my time and working through that section, and I hope I've got quite a bit done on it, but it's really hard when you're stitching like this cross country in a small area to kind of see the progress, or unless you count. So I've got a couple hundred stitches in. I want to get a few more in before I put this one away and move on to the next rotation piece, which I don't know until I pull a name out of the bag. I'm telling you, that part is kind of fun. It's exciting and fun at the same time. So that's what I have to share with you today. It is a short video just to catch up with everything. I did want to go over a couple of things. There were some comments about my Vlogmas and the challenges that I did and what my opinion was on them. I didn't mind the challenges. I really enjoyed them. Let's see. There wasn't any that I didn't really enjoy. I think maybe, I'm just trying to remember all of them. Yeah, I mean, it was all techniques that I've kind of already done in the past, but just with a little bit of tweaks on them. So I really, truly enjoyed them all. I mean, any kind of stitching is good. I purposefully did not challenge myself with doing parking because I knew I wouldn't enjoy it. And the whole point of my Vlogmas challenges was to make it fun and entertaining. And so I didn't want to do that because I knew I would get frustrated. So I didn't want that. So I decided to keep that out of it. But I'm looking forward to the next year of coming up with some new challenges for next Christmas. I know I am so crazy that I'm thinking about next Christmas's Vlogmas already, but I'm excited. And if anyone, as we get down there in the months, let's come up with some fun challenges for me to do. I think the next thing that's coming up is what people call March Madness. I know some people don't like to call it March Madness just because of the term. So I'll see what other people are coming up with. I don't know if I'm going to do it. I do really enjoy the part where all my stitching friends and yourselves out there get to choose what my final piece will be to stitch on the end of the March month. Let's see, what can we call it? If anybody has any ideas on what we can call it, or we could just call it the March Stitching Challenge. I think what we'll do is I'll make a bracket of some of my projects, and just like any kind of sports bracket, I understand, or like a tennis match, whoever wins the pair moves forward to the next bracket, so on and so forth, until you have a final project to be worked on for the last week of the month. So I'm going to come up with ideas for my March Stitching Challenge. That's what I'm going to call it for now. Then after that is what some people call Stitch Mania in May. I believe I called it Mayflower May. It is slipping my mind what I actually did for it in May. I don't remember if I did May starts, new starts, or what I did, but anyway, I really like to kind of engage in these stitching community challenges that go on throughout the year, but at the same time I don't want to tax myself too much, because Vlogmas, even though it was very, very fun, it took a lot. It took a lot of work, it took a lot of organizing, it took a lot of time and energy, but I'm so glad that I did it. I had so much fun, and I'll definitely do it again next Christmas. So that one is for sure. The other stuff that happened throughout the year, I'm not sure. We'll see how things play out. But that's my plans for 2022. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Thank you for coming back every time. And for anybody who's new here, thank you for coming and watching my channel. And I hope you enjoyed. And I can't wait to share with you what I have stitched the next time. It has been a blast. Happy stitching, everyone. Bye.